Okay, it's Shy the Sage returning for another amazingly amazing video. Okay, hello, what up, though? Greetings. Um, so today's topic, and I'm early today too, so let's not forget that, honey, because school. Okay, school has been draining me, but the semester ends on Tuesday, so I have some time off. So I figured since I finished all my homework that I need to be done, I'm gonna come on here and do a video. Okay. So this topic is inspired by anime. Okay, because y'all know I love me some anime, honey. So we're gonna be talking about how to use sex to increase your life force energy. Okay. Or Tao. Okay. And this was inspired by the anime Hell's Paradise. Okay. Um, if you don't know what Hell's Paradise is, you can watch the first season on Netflix, and I think they have the second season on Crunchyroll. Okay, so if you have Netflix, go check out Hell's Paradise. I watched it uh just on a random whim, and I'm hooked. And it got a lot of metaphysical gems in there, so I thought I'll come and introduce y'all a little bit. Okay, so firstly, to introduce Hell's Paradise. Okay, so Hell's Paradise is basically about this ninja. I'm talking about this badass ninja. Okay, hey, this ninja who basically is on death row, and in order to get his freedom, he is sent to an island. I forgot what they call the island, but he's sent to this island to retrieve what they call the elixir of life. It's basically a uh it basically gives you immortality, okay? Because you know humans are obsessed with immortality, which I don't understand. Okay, so basically in the anime, he has to compete against other convicts, okay, who want the same thing in order to basically get a pardon. So once they find the elixir of life, so if you're on death row, hey, if you're on death row and uh they give you an option. Okay, you can get killed now, or we can send you to this island. And if you retrieve this elixir of life, you are granted free from all your crimes. Okay, so when they are sent to the island is beautiful. Okay, it literally looks like a paradise. Okay, but the island is very deadly, and it has some very unnatural creatures on that island. Okay, and as you move through the series, you find that it's these godlike androgynous beings, okay, that can shapeshift their bodies into the opposite gender. Um, and they use what is called Tao. Okay, so all of the convicts who are sent to the island, they are very skilled fighters. Okay, but they realize their biggest threat on this island is the Tenzin. Okay, which are these again the godlike androgynous beings who can literally shapeshift into man males and females. Okay, some of the Tenzin like to keep their masculine bodies, and then there's one Tenzin that prefers to be in the female body. Okay, but then they can switch at any time. Okay, so these convicts, including Gabimaru, okay, which is the main character, they realize in order to fight these beings, they have to use what is called Tao, because their regular fighting styles is just not gonna cut it when it comes to these new beings. Okay, so in the series, okay, they introduce you and they make it very detailed of what Tao is. And Tao is basically vital life force energy that flows through all living things. Okay, so basically, again, like all anime, like your Naruto, you got chakra. Like in One Piece, you got haki. Like in Hunter x Hunter, you got nin. Okay, so again, this is just another anime that's teaching you how to that's introducing energy manipulation to increase their abilities. Okay, so in Hell's Paradise, they use Tao. Okay, now after reflecting on what Tao is and doing a little research, and I also connected what it really is. Tao is basically energy from the planet. Okay, so again, well, Earth not really a planet, it's a dimension, but another story for another time. So let's call Earth a planet. Okay. So Earth is a living entity. Okay. It's a living entity because it produces its own electromagnetic field. Okay. I know y'all remember in grade school how they had geography. Okay, so you had your mantle, your inner core, your outer core, and we were taught that the Earth produces magma flowing in the core. Okay, so from this is where energy is produced. Okay, so anything that produces its own electromagnetic field is a living entity. Okay, so Tao, or what the Chinese call Qi. All right, and you hear about Qi in Dragon Ball Z as well. Okay, so basically when you're in the human body, okay, the physical body comes from the earth. Okay, and because our bodies come from the earth, we're fundamentally tied to this planet. Okay, because of carbon and iron, and that's why when you get cremated, your body returns back to dust, or that's really carbon. Okay, and it's the same materials that are made in planet Earth. Okay, so just as Earth nurtures and creates plants and animals, it places its life force into those plants and animals, including humans as well, because again, humans are a form of animals. Okay, so this life force energy, or Tao, from the Earth, it basically acts like an animating spark. Okay, to flow within the body. Okay, so it's basically like, when think of a fetus when it's in the mother's womb. Fetuses all start out like a clump of cells. Okay, so all the materials that a baby gets from its mother, uh, in order to develop, it's like a parasite. It kind of, the fetus, when it's in the womb, it kind of sucks the nutrients and sucks all the minerals and all the cells from the mother in order to produce itself. It's the same thing with plants and animals and humans in terms of Earth. Okay, so when Earth creates, okay, it gives us energy. All right, now some people, just like with everything, are not connected to Earth's chi or Earth's Tao. Okay, a lot of people are not connected to this vital life force energy. A lot of people have cut themselves off from it. Okay, so, and then the people who typically lack Tao or Chi, or that natural life force energy from Earth, they are usually your energy vampires. Okay, so I told y'all, I made a video about energy vampires. These are people who are cut off from source, and they're cut off from Chi. Okay, or Tao. All right, so they have to constantly siphon other people's Chi or life force energy in order to sustain themselves. And like I said, this can be done in many methods. This can be done when people try to initiate superficial conversations with you. This can be done, well, the most popular way it's done is how people try to provoke reactions out of you. Okay, whether they're positive reactions or negative reactions, either way, a reaction is a reaction. Okay, so people who don't have a lot of Tao or a lot of Chi usually seek it from other people. All right, it's kind of like Frankenstein. Okay, so uh Frankenstein is a creature who is just living off of electrical impulses from the nervous system. Okay, because just because a body is animated does not mean it's connected to Tao or Chi. Okay, so think of Frankenstein. In order for a humanoid vessel to exist, it has to have electrical currents flowing through it. Okay, but just because it's electric, just because again it's animated, that doesn't really make it alive. Okay, that doesn't really give it a true spiritual vitality. All right. This is why, when your heart stops and you at the hospital or EMS get to you, this is why they use what they call a defibrillator. That defibrillator is used to send impulses to the heart, to send electrical impulses to the heart, so you can come back alive again. Okay, so yes, all humans run on electrical impulses, but some are disconnected from the Earth's natural uh energy, life force. Okay, this is what makes individuals. Okay, this is what makes your creativity. Okay, and then also in the series of Hell Paradise, Tao is flowed through from the sacral chakra. Okay, because that's where the spirit resides in the body. The spirit resides in your sacral. Okay, this is why they say trust your gut feeling, because if something feels off, your spirit is going to pick up on it, which is your sacral, aka your gut. Okay, which is the space right beneath your belly button. That's your sacral. So in Hell's Paradise, that's where their power is stored. Okay, that's where Tao flows through an individual um, to do attacks and to see other Tao and stuff like that. Okay, so in the series, there are 5 ways to master Tao or life force energy. Okay, the first one is physical training, strength training, working out. Okay, the second one is breathing techniques. Okay, we see this in Demon Slayer. Okay, where if you breathe a certain way, this cultivates a certain type of energy, which gives you a certain type of attack. Okay, you see that in Demon Slayer. Okay, meditation in Hell's Paradise is the third way to achieve Tao. And then you also have internal energy control, which is something that I do. So when I was watching the series, it was breaking down how 5 ways you can master time. I'd be like, damn, I do that. Okay. And I didn't even know I was doing it. So that is really main my main source of maintaining my tile. I do it more internally. Okay. So this is why this is why I'm trying to find ways to give y'all practical ways to increase things, but I do it again in a very unconventional way. Okay. I rarely meditate like I used to, even though I need to. But most of my energy is through internal control, okay, or internal manipulation on my own. All right. And then lastly, the one that we're going to talk about today is through sex. Okay. And so that's 5 ways that you can increase your Tao energy according to Hell's Paradise. Okay. So you got physical training, breathing techniques, meditation, internal energy control, and you got sex. Okay. Now, we are all adults here. Okay. So when we talk about sex, okay, so it's a reason why natural society demonizes sex. Okay. It is usually from the 3 exoteric religions. So Islam, Christianity, and Muslim. Okay. Now, it's I'm gonna give 2 polarities of why this is. Why does religion because religion determines people's values, okay, how people show up in the matrix. Okay, so the reason why religion views, so on the negative polarity, why religion views sex as shameful is because, let's be honest, God is gay. Okay, if you look at the Christian God and Christianity is literally phallic worship. Okay, or worship of the male genitalia. Okay, and I know you're like, oh, how can you say God is gay? Because if you look at most churches are founded upon only masculine principles. Okay, even when you're talking about Christianity, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay, the Holy Spirit is supposed to be the woman. Okay, so Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, their God is gay. Okay, this is why, and they was about to stone a prostitute. Okay, why you stoning a bitch who's just selling cat? Why you not stoning the motherfuckers who are paying her to pop coochie? You feel what I'm saying? Because God is gay. Okay, and if you look at the cross, okay, the cross looks like this. All right, penis. Okay, but when you look at the ankh, okay, for example, I'm gonna show my tattoo. When you look at the ankh, right? When you look at the ankh, all right, so you have the womb, the ovaries, and then you have the penis. So compared to Christianity, where there's no femininity at all, nothing. Like I said, all women supposed to be doing is baking bread and following the 8 shit men. All right, who follow another man, which is so gay. Like, even in Christian couples, like, oh, we have a covenant with God. It's just me, him, and God. Like I said, that sounded a little gay. I'm sorry. I'd rather be in a covenant with like a feminine spirit. Like, oh, to me, that's more sexy. Like, I feel like my man is being so subservient to another man. That's gay. Because it is, okay. It is. There's no room for femininity in the Christian doctrine. Like I said, women are just tools for breeding. Okay, while the men go and do whatever they want to do, even though they're supposed to be have these high morals and high integrity and move in high character. Let's be honest, most don't. Okay, so even if you look at Constantine, I told y'all Constantine, the Roman ruler, he was he boiled his wife alive. Okay, and Christianity was really Christianity was made by the Romans. So the Romans was gay. The Romans, they used to mess with teenage boys, and even on Saturnalia on Christmas, they used to get drunk and fuck each other. Okay, and these are the same people, okay, that are in charge of the Christian doctrine, and these are the same people because the Vatican is in Rome. Hello, the Vatican is in Rome. Okay, so these are the same people trying to tell people you need to follow this God, but whole time they pull out the fact that the Romans, they were fucking each other. Okay, because again, gay. All right, and ain't no wrong with gay, but just be, I'm a little gay, but at least I'm honest about it. All right, so that's the negative polarity of why sex is demonized. Now, the positive polarity on what sex is demonized, you can be a little more open. It kind of makes sense, okay? Because I like to see both truths. I don't like to just waver in one spectrum to another. I like to see both truths, okay? So the other polarity is humans typically lack discipline, okay? And sex is really for pleasure. It's very pleasurable. We know that, okay? So humans lack discipline when it comes to this, okay? And as a result, you got children who are born as a result of people's lack of discipline for sex, and you got health problems, so your STDs arise. Okay, so I would say that was kind of the negative polarity on how, because sometimes shame is good, but too much shame, like I said, we've been living in a time where religion has placed too much shame on sexual pleasure. But if I created humanity, that I understand they are children, they are animals, a part of me does understand that they lack discipline. Okay, they lack discipline. There's a lot of people out here who are very irresponsible when it comes to sex. As a result, like I said, y'all know I hate when people give birth and they ain't got no money. Okay, as a result, kids are born because instead of you being responsible with sex, wearing a contraceptive or something, okay, you just having a baby, okay, and bringing a baby into poverty. Okay, and I want to say that to humanity too. Humanity, y'all need to stop having kids because y'all can barely take care of the kids that y'all got here. Y'all can barely, it's kids in the foster system. Y'all can barely take care of the damn kids that y'all got here. Okay, and I keep seeing people be pregnant. Okay, human beings seem to be the only mammal disconnected from its environment, because when you're in a natural environment, organism or a mammal is going to be like, okay, my ecosystem is not beneficial for me to reproduce. So mammals, if they see that their environment is not healthy for them to reproduce, the females don't reproduce. Okay, they try to find another ecosystem, or they just focus on surviving by themselves. Humans are the only people that do that shit. Okay, your environment, this country, this world is not conducive to bringing more children here. What are you doing? Okay, so again, back to my original statement. That is why sex is so demonized. Okay, one, because God is gay, and then two, people are irresponsible. Okay, and just like with drugs, alcohol, and sex, these are all pleasures. They need to be handled responsibly. Okay, so again, as we talk about sex, I'm talking about the responsibility of sex. Everything has a responsibility, like drinking and smoking. Okay, of course you like a drink, but it becomes a problem when you need 3 drinks in order to go to work, when you need 3 drinks in order to function. Okay, smoking is cool, but if you smoke a pack a day, eventually it's going to cause health problems. Okay, so everything needs to be done responsibly and in moderation, and sex is not out that equation. Okay, so now the original, so in ancient times, when the world was more when the world had more female deities. Okay, so this is prior to Rome's colonization. Okay, so the world before that, so your Mesopotamias and your Egypts and your Babylons and even Lemurias. Okay, back then, okay, so sex was viewed as a primal sacred act of fertility and power and carnal pleasure. I've also been watching Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That's also on Netflix. If y'all like the occult, I would highly recommend watching that show too. That show can teach you a lot about magic. Having to, what I be talking about, having to give something in order to get something, balancing out spells and things like that. Okay, so in Sabrina, they had a episode, season 2, episode 3. They had a episode called Leprocaria, and Leprocaria is just basically witches' Valentine's Day. So in some of Sabrina, they do kind of reflect the older ancient ways of intimacy, right? So again, so compared to like now, in the ancient times, like they didn't believe that you necessarily needed romance for sex. If you hey, I like you, you like me, I'm nice to you, you nice to me. Okay, compared to now where romance is really the basis for sex. Okay, so back then, sex was viewed as just a celebration of life, nature, and raw power, rather than just romance. Okay, uh, but originally, sex is just a celebration of fertility and virility. Okay, virility is just the masculine sexual power. You see men with sex appeal. They might have nice body. Like you can tell when a man has a I can always tell when a man has a lot of sexual energy, because sexual energy is also spiritual power as well. So that is a whole different discussion. Considering when you were younger, if you like me, and I was just born with a lot of spiritual power, and that translated to sexual energy, and I was sexualized at a very young age, when I really just needed to be looked at as innocent. So that is kind of the downside of being have that's kind of the downside of like having spiritual power and sexual power, because growing up, if you don't have mature caregivers, they are going to demonize your sexuality. Then, you know what I'm saying, you got weird family members making slick comments about you and shit. And yeah, and then as I got older, the people who I thought was my caregiver, especially on the masculine side, they said some real slick shit to me, and I'm just like, yeah, I gotta draw boundaries. So it's like I say, it's a gift and a curse. All right. So okay, so yeah, basically sex was originally viewed as carnal pleasure. Indulging it's okay. Like even in Sabrina, the TV show, it's okay. It's not seen as something shameful. It's just seen as an art form. Okay. An art form of primal sexual active fertility. Okay. Just celebrating the fact, just celebrating pleasure. Okay. But pleasure with responsibility. Okay. Now, for the meat and potatoes. Okay. So back to Hell's Paradise. How do you build your tile? Okay. So basically, this is basically sex magic. Okay. So in Hell's Paradise, there's a lot of sexual activity in Hell's Paradise. Okay. Because this is one of the fastest and of course more fun ways to increase your life force energy, because again, in Hell's Paradise, the more tile that you have, the stronger your attacks are. The more tile that you have, the more you can adapt speed and ability, and the more tile that you have, the more you can see other people's tile and to see if they have any weakness to defeat your opponent. Okay, so that's really how it is in the series. So using sex to build your tile. Okay, the first thing that you need to understand is, again, we talked about using sex responsibly, but the most major point in this is you have to be with somebody who compliments you energetically in some way. Okay. If you have a stronger life force than the person that you're trying to exchange tile with, you're going to be depleted. Let me say that again. If you have a stronger life force compared to the person that you're trying to exchange tile with or be sexual with, they're going to drain your life force. The perfect example that I see of this is sex workers, particularly prostitutes. Okay, if you know 304 talk is a basically pretty popular on TikTok. You know, all the 304s, all the hoes, you know, they got a community on TikTok, and then you can see what their daily life is about. Okay. But one thing I noticed about prostitutes is they look depleted and drained. They're not ugly, but like it's like their face and their just their face and their essence is so dull. Okay. Like I don't know if I'm the only person that watched that, but notice that, but look at some of these 304s. Look at some of these prostitutes. Like I said, I'm not knocking nobody hustle, honey. I have to sell some coochie a couple times, you know what I'm saying? So I'm the last motherfucker to judge. Okay. I just sold some coochie, okay. But okay. But I noticed like women who are constantly in that profession of being prostitutes, they're typically drained. Okay, like I said, they face don't look vital. It's because they're constantly having relations with men, because usually when you are a prostitute too, you do have to have sex with men. Kind of, I mean, it depends. I guess it depends on your demographic and your clientele. There are escorts who have higher clientele, okay, but most of these girls I'm talking about are just streetwalkers. So they get your truck stop dudes and your dive bar dudes, or your blue collar worker, you know, dudes. Okay, these are literally most of their clientele. Okay, so and if you see in their face just look, like I said, they're not ugly. They face just look dull. Like they energy just look dry. Okay, it's because they're sleeping with people who are taking their life force, but they're gaining their life force back in exchange for money. Okay, so again, the law of equivalent exchange. If somebody's going to drain your energy, the least they can do is give you $1,500, okay, for a few hours. All right. So, but that's so you, in order to effectively practice increasing your towel during intercourse, you have to be with somebody who compliments you energetically. Okay. And I noticed this when, like, I used to, when I would go back to Detroit, you know, I would, it was, you know, it was a friend of mine, and he has strong. I would tell him all the time he has strong sexual energy. So every time we'll get finished doing a whoop de woo, you know, I feel reflect fresh. It's like my chakras be aligned. Okay, like that's how you know after you have sex with somebody and like you really feel balanced. It's like a part of you feels whole. If like a part of you feels, you know, on both ends. Now, whoever feels drained and whoever feels whole, you can tell somebody, you either siphon that person's energy or they siphon yours. Okay, depending on how you feel after sex. But in my recent sexual encounters, I have been noticing in my reality, I do attract my lovers are typically in my energetic range. Although I am the dominant one, they're in my energetic range. So I don't feel drained. Okay, you're supposed to feel drained, at peace. And then that feeling, or even you don't even have to necessarily have sex with somebody. It's just because I don't want to say too much. You know what I'm saying? I got people watching I got people watching my stuff, honey. But even if you just like somebody or meet somebody and you can feel that sexual energy and it makes you excited, okay? But excited in like a way of, hey, I just want to express to you how I feel. And I don't know, not too lustful. You know what I'm saying? Not too lustful, but hey, I like you, you like me. Clearly, we have some synergy going on. I would like to express to you through the act of intimacy how I feel about you. Okay. So even before the act of intimacy, if you feel that excitement, like that energy, excitement, that kundalini rising, that is also a great sign. Okay. That is a sign that you and that person, y'all are already exchanging tile. Okay, y'all are already building up tile to come together. Okay, but before y'all can come together, use that energy. Okay, because that's really the whole point. So even before intercourse or after intercourse, depending on how you feel, you're supposed to use that energy and funnel it into a goal. Hey, okay, because it's just when it builds up after sex. Okay, when you exchange, okay, you feel that energy like, dang, I feel good, I feel energized. You're supposed to use that energy for something. Okay, you can use it to manifest something, or you can use it for an intention, or you can use it for but don't go in the experience like I said, like don't be dusty with it. Like if you behind on your light bill, don't be like, okay, yeah, I'm about to practice some sex magic so I can manifest me having a light bill. That's dusty. Don't do that. Okay. Like even if that is like, come, you got to be in a different mind frame. Don't come from survival because you gonna fuck up the whole experience. Don't do that. But after or before you feel that energy, that sexual energy building up, like it's like an excitement. It's like a, oh wow, I feel like I can't explain it, like because a lot of people I do have a lot of soul connections with, like the lovers in my life. I do have a soul connection, so that's why it works. Okay, we're not just talking about some rando. So again, it works better if you're already compatible with somebody. Okay, so after or before the act, you already feel good. It's like you're gonna feel it. It feels like you have more energy. Okay, you're supposed to use that energy to direct it towards a goal. Okay, or to direct it towards, okay, glaring magic, or hey, I want to use this energy to make me more magnetic to attract more opportunities. Okay, you have to funnel that energy or you're gonna lose it. Okay, you have to funnel that energy into a direction. All right, that is how you use tile. Okay, and again, in Hell's Paradise, they have sex and they exchange that energy to increase their power levels, to increase their fighting styles. Okay, because the Tenzin, or the god like androgynous beings in Hell's Paradise, they're basically making the elixir of life. Okay, they're the ones who are making it. All right, and they make it through experiments, and one of the experiences is they take the life forces of other humans who have also been through that island. Okay, so a lot of them, that's how, before people were sent to the island had a bad reputation because everybody who go there, they never come back. It's because the Tenzin was snatching them up and siphoning their life force energy for their own benefit. Okay, so that is essentially how you exchange tile sexually. You have to make sure that that person is in your energetic range, okay, or you're going to be depleted. All right, and then you use that energy, you will feel it, you'll feel more refreshed, you'll feel relaxed, you'll feel like more aligned. I can't explain it. It's like somebody then beat the chakras, you beat your chakras down in alignment to you. It's like one of the best feelings ever, and it's so euphoric, and you don't feel drained. You feel safe with that person. Like I said, this don't happen with no rando. Okay, now, however, because I like the light and the dark. Okay, now option number two: how to use tile in sex. Okay, or this is for my little darker folks. Okay, or you can find somebody who has a weaker will than you to exchange tile. Okay, now this will put you in a more incubus or succubus type of energy. Now, there's nothing wrong with incubuses and succubuses, okay? But I prefer the ones that give consent, okay? So if you ever had a dream and you consented to the sexual experience energetically, okay. But if you had a dream and you feel like you didn't consent to that sexual experience, and then somebody is trying to sleep with you in their dream, I don't do that, okay? So you can find somebody who has a weaker will than you and cipher their energy. Okay, like I said, this is left hand path. This is left. What's up? This is left hand path stuff. Okay, now, but when you do this, okay, when you do this, you have to make sure there are consenting. Okay, because why? Let's be honest. Humans are like prey. Okay, some people have weaker will than others. Some people are a little naive than others. Okay, I think we all been on different ends of the spectrum. Okay, so for the people who have weaker wills, you can siphon their life force. My recommendation to you is be sure to give some. If you're going to take their life force, make sure you give something back. Okay, just because somebody has weaker will than you that does not mean you abuse them or take advantage of them. Okay, it's like like you can have a little sneaky link, and you know you're not about to get serious with or something. Or I'm just putting an example, but that doesn't mean you treat them like trash. Okay, that doesn't mean you don't treat them with human decency. Okay, even if you, and that's what true power is. So if you're going to overpower, because that's my message. My message is, if you're going to overpower somebody with a weaker will, do it respectfully. Okay, uh the dominatrix industry has taught me this. Like when you're doing sub and dom, because I used to do dominatrix work back in the day. Okay, so when you doing sub and dom, okay, you have to build a level of respect. Okay, you can't just come in, oh, that's why your mother never loved you, and no. No, you treat your sub with respect. Like, you're firm in your power, but you're not abusive. Okay, so it's kind of like the sub and dom sexual culture. Okay, what makes a good dom is somebody that's not overbearing. They're stable. Cause I got one right now, but they're stable. Okay, they're stable. Their power is not forceful. Okay, an unforceful dom would be like, okay, you want to be my dom? Okay, get on your knees and do this. Whoa, hold on, you can't. It don't work like that. Okay, a true dom is powerful. Like, hey, I see that you're working on your homework right now, and I see you haven't had a break. Let's go and get some food. Oh, but no, I still gotta finish. I said, the homework will still be there. You haven't eaten all day. We're gonna go get food and get you nourished. Okay. That is a healthy dom. That is healthy power. It's not, oh bitch, fuck your homework. Okay, come sit on this dick. Like, no. That's an unhealthy dom. So it's the same thing if you're going to be on the more left hand path of sexual alchemy. Okay. Use your power responsibly. That's what I mean. Okay. And then I hope that makes sense. Okay, so yes, you can use the somebody's weaker will and siphon their tile. Okay, but like I said, just make sure it's consensual, and just make sure that you use your power respectfully. Okay, like I said, like a boss. Okay, your boss is in charge of you, but if your boss was like, "Hey, bitch ass nigga, where are them files? I need it on my desk," you will be like, "Who is this? Who is this talking to?" But if a boss came to you respectfully, like, "Hey, I needed those files by 10 a.m. Could you have it for me at 2 p.m. since you're late?" That's a little bit more, it's respectful. Like I said, it's power, but it's not an abuse of power. Okay. And then my last point. Okay, this is what comes with, and then what ties into like this. Basically, it ties in a little psychic vampirism. Okay, now I used to be into psychic vampirism, but I realized if you already have a high quality life force energy, you don't need to take anybody else's. It's like, if I already have a Ferrari, I don't need to steal your Toyota. Okay, so psychic vampirism, that's more on the left hand path of the darker arts. And I think that is with people who can't magically generate their own, again, life force. Because I used to practice it like a few years ago, but then I realized, like, damn, why would I take your energy when my energy is better than yours? You know what I'm saying? So be mindful that not everybody's life force is worth being siphoned. Okay, it's just like when people try to sell their souls to demons in exchange for when people try to sell exchange their soul with demons for abilities. Okay, not every demon is going, your soul ain't worth nothing. Okay, like, that's the only way a demon will take your soul, if it's worth something. Okay, if you like, hey demon, I want to give you my soul, but if your soul ain't really worth shit, they not gonna take it. Because demons got standards too. Okay, so again, not everybody's life force. If you gonna go on a more darker routes, okay, on the succubus incubus path or the sub dom path, okay, yes, it is very dumb. Yeah, not everybody's life force is worth being siphoned. Okay, always choose quality over quantity. Okay, like I said, somebody's life force stinks. Okay, like I said, so blah blah blah, just because somebody has a weaker life force than you, that doesn't make it quality. Okay, so you have to think about it like that. All right. If yours is, again, if yours is of greater, you have to assess yourself. Okay, this is what comes with discernment. Okay. uh if somebody's if you have greater quality than the person that you're trying to siphon from, don't even worry about it. Again, it's like if I live in a high rise, why would I break into your Section 8 apartment? That's nobody's doing that. If I drive if I drive a Bugatti, I have no need to steal your Lexus. I don't need it because I have a Bugatti. If I've had $10 million, I'm not going to take your $30,000 in savings. So again, not everybody's life force is worth siphoning. Okay, so again, have discernment. Okay, again, use sex responsibly. If you are going to go down the incubus succubus path, use your power responsibly. And look into sub and dom culture. Okay, the BDSM. Look into that culture. Okay, it'll teach you what a proper dom or what a proper sub is. Okay, so I'm about to get on out of here. I'm about to go to brunch and party with the Latinos. You know, yo boy. About to go hang with. And plus I'm hungry, so I'm about to go hang with the Latinos real quick. Go to a little day party, celebrate the end of my semester. Again, y'all can email me about consultations or readings. Until next time, happy to hear to deliver a message. Like I said, we're being more consistent. Okay, and I've been doing a good job. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Till next time. Bye.